everyone, it's Ashley from the Dickinson County Nature Center, and as part of our Symbiotic Relationship video series, I am here today to talk to you guys about commensalism. So what is commensalism? Well, the word itself is actually derived from the Latin word commensalis, which means sharing a table. So commensalism is a relationship between two organisms where one organism benefits and the other organism neither benefits nor is harmed, so they're unaffected. So the benefit to the first organism can be in the form of food, shelter, transportation, and even seed dispersal. So some examples of this can be in the case of a tree frog. So tree frogs hide under the leaves of different plants, and this protects the tree frog from rain and other weather as well as predators. So the tree frog benefits because it has a shelter, but the plant neither benefits nor is harmed because the tree frog doesn't provide any services to the plant. Another example is with cattle egrets. So cattle egrets hang out in the same area as cattle because as cattle graze, they tend to stir up a bunch of insects. And so the cattle egrets will go around and eat these insects. So they benefit from the relationship because they get food, but the cattle, they don't benefit, but they're not harmed either. So it's a commensalism relationship. So in ecology, we can divide commensal relationships into four categories: chemical, inquilism, metabiosis, and foracy. So in a chemical relationship, it's usually between two types of bacteria, where one bacteria will benefit from the other because it will eat either chemicals produced by that bacteria or by the waste that is not needed by that bacteria. So the first bacteria benefits because they get food. The second bacteria neither benefits nor is harmed because there's no service provided by the first bacteria to that second bacteria. Inquilism is where one organism uses the other for permanent housing. So a couple examples of this one would be with birds that create cavities in trees and then nest in those cavities and have their homes in those cavities. The trees are not harmed, but the birds receive permanent housing. Another example is with epiphytic plants that grow on trees. The epiphytic plants create their food by using sunlight and moisture that they gather from the air, so they don't harm the tree, but the tree does provide permanent housing for that plant to grow on. In the third type of a commensal relationship, metabiosis, is where one organism creates a habitat for another organism. So a really good example of this is with hermit crabs, because hermit crabs will live in the shells of dead gastropods. So those gastropods are providing a habitat for that hermit crab. Another example is with maggots living on dead organisms, because those organisms provide a habitat for those maggots to live in, but the maggots neither harm nor benefit the dead organism. In the fourth type of a commensal relationship, foracy, it's where one organism will attach itself to another organism for transportation. So this is most commonly seen in arthropods that attach themselves to insects, so like mites that are found on insects, but it can be seen in a lot of different ways. So I'm sure a lot of you have been walking through the prairie or through the woods, and you come out and you find all of these seeds that are attached to your clothing, all these burdock seeds. They attach to either clothing or they can attach to the fur of animals. But this is the way that that plant uses a commensal relationship to help spread its seed, because it doesn't harm you or the animal to have that burdock seed on your clothes and fur, but it does benefit the plant because it helps spread their seed. Another example of this is with barnacles attaching themselves to whales. So the barnacles get a free ride to a new breeding or feeding ground where the whales are unlikely to notice that the barnacles are even attached to them. And one last example of this is with remora fish that attach themselves to sharks, whales, turtles, and manta rays. And so the fish has this sucker-like organ on its body that helps sucker itself to those animals, and then it just gets a free ride to wherever it needs to go. So thank you so much for watching this video on commensal relationships, and I hope that you guys learned something fun and new and exciting.